A guy arrives at the edge of a lake in the United States with 3 boxes full of expensive bait, imported plugs, and packages of soft bait that look like children's candy. Next to him, an old man with a simple bucket, a bottle of cheap soda, and a handful of corn. 2 hours pass. The guy with the boxes catches 3 meager little fish. The old man fills his live well to the point where he has to choose what to take home. The difference? It wasn't luck. It was a drink you have in your refrigerator right now and that almost nobody uses correctly for fishing. If this is your first time here, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any secrets the industry tries to hide. This isn't internet theory. The scene I just described took place on a typical American recreational lake, with a wooden pier, families having barbecues, and aluminum boats passing by everywhere. Fishing pressure all day long. A group of 4 fishermen, all with modern equipment, gleaming spinners, expensive crankbait, making noise in the water. In the middle of them, an older guy with a simple rod, somewhat old line, and a grocery bag with a very dark cola bottle inside. The result of the day, while the guys made 5 hard-fought catches in 6 hours, he alone put 19 bluegill and small bass on the line, choosing which ones to release and which ones to take home. People started to think it was luck, that his spot was better, the usual story. But this same uncle told me that his father was already doing this in the smaller rivers of the American interior in the 70s, and his father learned it from a local river dweller, one of those fishermen who lived off the water, before those lures with colorful packaging dominated the shelves. They didn't have the money to keep buying synthetic bait, so they used what the market offered that was cheapest: sweet drinks, canned corn, leftover bread. And the most curious thing, when he used the right drink, the difference in results was striking. One afternoon, testing side by side, the rig with the sweet drink yielded 12 fish. The same rig, in the same spot, without the drink, barely yielded 3. It's not a coincidence repeated decades in different locations. Today, many American lakes and reservoirs are full of fish that have seen it all. Spinners, cranks, jigs, plastics of all colors. But almost no one is paying attention to the noses of these animals. While the average fisherman is hypnotized by lure catalogs, the old masters of fishing have always looked at the smell, the trail in the water, what attracts the fish when it's not eating out of hunger, but by instinct. And this old man, who learned from his father, who learned from another, even older man, continues to go to the same lake with the same simple rod, a cheap soda bottle, and returns home with a full fish tank, while the rest of the group returns complaining about a tough day. We are living in the craziest era of fishing. There has never been so much technology, so much information thrown onto the internet. And yet, a lot of fishermen continue to return home with few catches, frustrated, without understanding why some guys always fill their live wells while they just take pictures of the river. What if the very strategies that even the most experienced anglers don't share publicly are what's missing from your fishing trips? Those invisible adjustments to water reading, spot selection, bait type, and decision-making that don't appear in YouTube videos, but completely change the outcome in practice. That's why the ebook High-Level Fishing was created. A practical, straightforward guide where you discover the pillars that truly make a difference in fishing and learn to apply, step by step, the same strategies that the most successful anglers use in the water. This isn't just another superficial resource repeating obvious tips. Here you'll truly understand how to think like a high-level fisherman, how to read the environment, choose your spots better, adjust your techniques, and prepare intelligently for each outing, greatly increasing your chances of catching more fish in less time. Download now using the link pinned in the first comment. Please note, this special offer from $19.90 to just $14.92 is available for a limited time only and may be discontinued at any time. Now comes the part that surprises many people. This so-called cheap drink is just regular cola, the really dark and inexpensive kind you find in supermarkets. It's not a tall tale. It's sugar, acid, and a strong smell that triggers the fish's instincts. And it works in still lakes and even small American rivers when used correctly. It sounds crazy, but the science behind it is quite simple. When we talk about fish, especially freshwater species from the U.S., like bluegill, crappie, and even largemouth bass in some scenarios, their sense of smell and lateral line are essential survival tools. They use chemical receptors scattered across their heads and nostrils to detect amino acids, sugars, and compounds dissolved in the water that indicate easy food, remnants of organic matter, larvae, and small invertebrates. Some studies mention specific receptors for certain sweet and acidic compounds, which function almost like our anticipatory taste. Imagine smelling barbecue on the street. Even without seeing the meat, your body reacts, you salivate, you get hungry. It's similar with fish. When you put a mixture in the water that releases sugar and a constant smell, it creates a cloud of stimuli that triggers this biological response even if the fish isn't actually hungry. It comes to check, bites, tests. What the old man did, and it works very well, isn't simply throwing soda into the water. That just pollutes the lake and quickly loses its effect. The secret is to transform that drink into a kind of fattening syrup for the fish, using the gas and sugar to carry particles that will stay longer in the water column. And the best part? You can put it all together for pennies. With less than $10 converted to the local currency, using inexpensive supermarket products, you can prepare enough for several fishing trips. This is the kind of knowledge that doesn't come in pretty packaging. Write down the ingredients to make a simple attractant using cola soda. 200 milliliters of very cheap cola soda, the kind that comes in a large bottle. 1 cup, about 150 growers, of drained canned corn or inexpensive canned corn. 2 heaping tablespoons of yellow cornmeal. 1 level tablespoon of brown sugar or regular sugar, whichever you have. 1 teaspoon of fine salt. With this, you spend very little, just spare change from the grocery store, and you get an attractive lure that yields several baits. Now the step-by-step process is simple. In a lidded jar, combine the drained corn, sugar, salt, and cornmeal. Mix well until the kernels are thoroughly coated. Add the 200 milliliters of cola gradually, stirring slowly. The idea is to form a thick broth where the corn is well coated, but without becoming a thin soup. If it becomes too thick, add a little more flour. Cover the jar and let it rest for at least 2 hours in the refrigerator. If you can prepare it the night before, even better. During this time, the corn infuses the drink with flavor. The sugar penetrates, and the aroma becomes much more intense. Before heading out to fish, give it a quick stir, just to loosen the aroma, and carry the sealed container in a cooler bag or with a small bottle of ice to prevent it from spoiling quickly in the heat. The secret here lies in the resting time. If you simply mix it right away and throw it in the water, it works, but the result is much weaker. When the corn spends a few hours in that mixture, it creates a combination of sweetness, slight acidity, and a texture that releases particles gradually into the water. To preserve it, you can keep this treat in the refrigerator for up to 3 days without any problem. If you want to store it for longer, you can freeze it in small portions and thaw only what you will use that day. If you want to boost it, you can add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Enhances the aromatic trail and makes the scent sweeter, bringing out a lot of bluegill and crappie notes. A drizzle of sardine oil or some other inexpensive fish oil. It creates a film of grease on the surface that spreads the smell through the wind and light currents. Now, Why can't you find a ready-made jar with this combination on the shelves of fishing stores in the US? Because it's not in the system's interest to sell you something you can assemble with things from your kitchen for just a few cents.
Where did you get this corn?
It's much more profitable to push synthetic attractants with flashy labels, full of promises, artificial smells, and pretty English names, charging $10, $15, $20 for a small bottle. Meanwhile, a simple brand of soda, canned corn, and some flour do practically the same job in certain situations. The difference is that nobody earns a high commission on traditional knowledge. Those who know how to use it profit. In practice, how do you use this cola-based lure? First, choose a spot with structure, near sunken logs, aquatic vegetation, the shade of a pier, or banks with a rapid drop in depth. Take a small handful of corn with the mixture and throw it into the spot where you're going to work. Just a handful. No need to fill the whole place. Wait 3 to 5 minutes to create that set table in the water. Then, bait 1 or 2 kernels of corn well soaked in the mixture onto a sturdy hook that doesn't easily come undone. The amount needs to be controlled. If you pour the entire container into the water, you'll just overfeed the fish. Ideally, you should replenish a handful every 15 or 20 minutes if the activity slows down. On hot days, early morning and late afternoon, are times when this type of attractant works very well because the fish are more active and the water has more circulation at the surface. Bluegill and crappie respond incredibly well, and in some lakes, you'll see juvenile bass coming close to enjoy the feast. A common mistake is leaving the corn in the same place for half an hour without adjusting the depth or position. If it doesn't bite in 10 minutes, move it 1 meter to the side, raise or lower the arrangement in the water column. Click Now, secure your access to high-level fishing, and let these strategies start transforming your next fishing trips. The link is in the first pinned comment. When you return from the water applying what you've learned, come back here and comment, "I caught more." That will be your commitment to your evolution in fishing. And perhaps it's exactly the step that separates the stories you hear from the stories you'll start telling. Imagine your next fishing trip on some random American lake. While everyone else spends $20 or $30 on imported bait from a store, you use a cheap soda bottle mixed with plain corn and flour. Within hours, your fishing line gets heavier, photo after photo, and the guys around you start noticing that only your float keeps sinking. Your friends will ask you the secret. You decide whether to tell them. The ancients always knew that the power lies in the way you think about fishing, not in the price of the packaging. Stores may try to push another expensive bottle on you, but traditional knowledge, adapted to the reality of today's American lakes, continues to quietly prevail. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next video.